Sort of a tag team match. I'm going to start out the first part talking about card design. We're going to design elements to make your stereo cards look better. And then Larry is going to do a demo of how both he and I actually put these together. It's a little bit different than some others do, but we find it very convenient for mass-producing stereo cards. If you're just doing one at a time, this might be a little overkill, but if you're mass-producing 20, 30, 50, or 100, which we sometimes do, then this is a unique way of doing it. So let's start. We're going to talk about information in your cards, some of the themes that you might or might not want to have on your card. We're taking images, scanning them in, and making a card back out of them. And then we'll end up with a card demo. Hopefully, Larry will have time to do it twice. If you can't see, you'll probably come up and have a look.
I'll do it again and again.
Yeah, sure. So this is not what you want to have. It's a dull-looking card. You don't want your cards to end up in this page stereo. You have no information on them. You don't remember who's in them, where it was taken, and it's a very dull-looking card. I don't think we ever identified that one. You'd like to minimum, at least put your name on it, maker's name, just the bare minimum. You'd like to do the standard newspaper, who, what, when, where information. It can be a nice short paragraph, it can be a long paragraph, but just have some information so you show this card to your friends and relatives 20 years from now, you won't forget that that's Aunt Edna or Uncle Earl in the picture. Some design elements would be good is put some borders around it. We'll show you some examples of borders. They really add a nice design element, make your card look much better. Put a graphic on it. You'll see there's a wide variety. You can make your own, as many people at APEC stereo card exchange do. Or you can, we do, sort of take them from the cards. And take a nice, easy to read font. Courier, not good, looks like a typewriter. Arial, that's what this is written in, very dull, boring. Easy to read, but a little boring. Let's talk a minute, and Larry will talk more about cardstock. You want to use a high-quality, 100% rag paper if you can. It's not as expensive as you would think, and we'll show you how cheap it really can be later on. 4-ply is much better than 2-ply. Gives a nice, solid feel. Not only a good image, but a good looking feel to your cards. I like using a white or cream color card, just so the core of your card then will be white, not dark or black, and you put the paper on it. And in the U.S. anyway, you purchase large sheets, 30 inch by 40 inch. I'm not sure what the European equivalent is.
32 by 40 pounds.
32 by 40?
What is not 30 by 40, 32 by 40.
Probably not in inches, probably
In the United States, it's 32 by 40.
So if you start out with a blank card back like this, and many antique cards are like this as well, and many APEC cards, we'll work on that of course, look like that. That's pretty dull. It's easy to forget what's on the image. Fast to make, but very, very dull. A little bit better, this came from one of our local APEC, is just a simple label on the back. You just type it out, one of the Avery labels, print it up, hold stick, easy to do, simple sticker, basic information, name, the date, and then the title of the card in the back. That's a little bit better. Better still is a little more information. This is another APEC card exchange member, Rick. Put a little graphic on the back, talks a little bit about what's on the front of the card, a little more information. Black cardstock is what he used rather than white, which I like to use, or cream like Larry uses. But it worked in this image. But then better still is what we're going to get into. And this is what I think really adds a nice design look. Larry's card there, and some light using cards here. You see we both have a type of borders, some graphics, a little bit of information about what's on the front of the card. Larry puts date and negative information so we can pull up the negative name very quickly. Okay, so where do you find all these design elements? Well, they're all over if you just look for them. If you're a good graphic designer, I know there's a few people in the room who are, you design your own. But if you're like me and most everybody else, I'm lousy at designing. And so we look for other design elements and old cabinet cards, stereo cards, graphic books, modern graphic books and graphic design elements.
Yeah, go to the library and grab the graphic book cards. I mean, there are borders, designs of all types. All you got to do is take them, scan them, start to assemble whatever you want, add your type, and they'll be right there.
You're off and
I'll
running.
show you how.
And we'll show you how.
copywriting or anything like that?
The graphic arts books are free of copyright. That's the reason they're published.
Yeah,
Okay.
look for Dover books. They're all
Dover.
Okay.
footwork.
And if you go to like a bookstore, they sell these things just to give people ideas of graphic design. They're all published free.
Dover selling them by time now. You can get a Renaissance thing on CD now.
Exactly. You can buy it on CD and they're already scanned in for it. So you will need, of course, a computer, a good scanner if you're going to be scanning, and some editing software. I'll be mentioning software that Larry and I use, and many people do, Adobe Photoshop. It's not the only one, it's just I'll be mentioning it because it has the capability. How many people in here have used Photoshop or own Photoshop? Okay. How many people have a legitimate copy of it? Nice. This is unusual. You have a legal copy. It's the most pirated copy of software.
Not sure what.
But it also is very, very good. Okay. So design elements can be found everywhere. These are examples of cabinet cards. They have a great border. They have a good design element to it. Very graphic border, the one on the left. That's nice. I've seen many copies of the one on the right as well. So we go look to card shows, the stereo show today, or Saturday and Sunday, and look at card backs. And people think we're crazy. I turn it over. I mean, look at what's on the front. I'm trying to sell them my image on the front. I flip them over and say, that's a nice design on the back. And that's how I purchase my cabinet cards.
You can also get these, of course, over on eBay. And the strangest thing is that hardly ever will they show you what the card back looks like. Almost. So you have to ask. They say, oh, it has a photographer's advertisement. The keywords to type in are back stamp. Okay, in the historical section of photographs that you're interested in, look for back stamp or advertisement.
And this, the dates for these are late 1800s, early 1900s. By much later than that, this whole idea of cabinet cards and this type of back had faded out. So what I want to point out, and maybe you notice, is that the same design was sold to many, many photographers, and they would just put their name on it. And they in fact would buy these cards with their name customized on it. And so that's what we're going to do. Take the same design element and put your name as the photographer's card maker on it. I'll show you another example in a minute. So you can be really creative. This is a nice one I just got. I like the border around it quite a bit, but you can have some fun. You too can be a photographer queen. Now, for those of you who are from England, this is probably illegal. Somebody in a dress uniform will show up at your door. But anywhere else, or you can say you're George Bush's photographer if you like. So real simple.
Is that the drag queen?
That's what's great. Yeah, right. If you really need a little pat on the back, show them your awards, as this guy did, as the old Professor George. Be creative. Are you? There we go. Easy Photoshop. I really like the cameras that they have, the duplicates can be had at any time, showing you how they're going from single image, wet or dry plate, to actually using negatives at this point in time. And he was building them to show that he's a real photographer.
And a lot of times the camera too, especially if you might notice Tom's latest card design, he actually put the camera similar to this, and by cloning it, made it a stereo camera. So 11 by 14 inch stereo camera.
Well, of course. Now, if you don't like the very old, antique-looking modern card designs that are very common, here's one of Larry's cards, his whole series called The Apartment, where he puts a red dot of where the picture was taken on the front side and gives the actual ad he had for trying to rent out the apartment one time. My more modern design is just some nice lines. I put the little lizard in there because I live in Arizona, and just some basic information. Some other more contemporary designs, again from our APEC card exchange. Here's some very nice designs. I like the sort of the watermark look on the back there with the goings. Somewhere in the audience here, although it's not back up there. Puts another view, stereo view on the back side, and a little bit of description. Very modern design. Another member down here on the bottom, Kirby Lee, in Canada, I really like the printed gray. This is all printed on the back except for the watermark, which we use one of those library seals and prints the paper and then laminates it onto the cardstock. The difficulty there is if you do a hard lamination, you're going to lose that print, that watermark look. So be real careful about how much pressure you put in. Get embossed. So use interesting borders, add your text. You put an image of your house or your studio if you like. If you have a house or studio you think was really good. This is a very nice border that we see. This is
Look at that scalloped edge.
yeah, that's very good.
Very unusual, very rare.
Most of the old cards, though, have seen some stain and use and wear, and they need a little bit of cleaning up. I purchased this card just because I like the border and the little phoenix-looking bird thing on it. With a little bit of grayscale change, remove some of the other channels. Again, Photoshop, in contrast adjustment, you get a clean image. Now, what's still worn to that torn area there? I had to go in and do a lot of cloning work to fix that up. So look closely here. This is Webb and Company in Ohio, Ohio. The exact same card was some guy in Vermont. This is the card that Larry had. If I'd known he had this clean card, I wouldn't have wasted time cleaning that.
So really shop around. Really want to shop around. I have as many as 5 different versions of the same back stamp image. You know, I had to take different pieces from different cards to finally piece it all together. So there's a long-standing tradition of photographers stealing from other photographers. And all types of designs, ideas, stylistic attitudes. So don't hesitate to do it.
So the parts that I took, of course, was Bird. I didn't like all of the information around the outside, and I wanted to space at the bottom, put my name, and instead of the photography name in the center, I wanted to put the name of the, in this case, the model I used. So you know, I cut it down and still kept the basic look of the card. Again, Photoshop, wonderful. Other design elements. This is a card I purchased because I like the palm tree and what looked like a hummingbird turned out to be a butterfly, and you just pull out the elements that you want. And look out at the camera, that's all it was on one card back I just got. That's kind of a neat little picture of the guy in the camera. So here's what Larry's referring to. You take your selected graph, that's a fairly long time. And with a little bit of work and layers in Photoshop, or other digital images, he now has a stereo camera and a 2006 copyright instead of 1881 copyright. So it made it more fun design. And that didn't take too long to do. So you want to be able to scan an image, you adjust your contrast, and add the personal touches to it. So you notice it went from the photography symbol to Larry's design there, and then his name on it.
And we also added in more border on the right and so forth. There's a lot of little things that aren't very there. Sometimes the balance isn't real good on some of the old stuff. So feel free to add and subtract.
So by doing this, you're really making it your own design. You're starting with something and adding to it, adding bits and pieces that make it a better looking card. So with only just a little bit of editing, all you did was put his name in there. You got a very nice little card in this case. Or sometimes all you need to do is put your own image in it.
Yeah, about the same.
I'm not sure which one you like there. Just put your own image in and very simple. So we've been talking about hardbacks and how to get designs from the old cards or contemporary designs to really make your stereo card look great. But you can't forget the front of the card. There's a lot to be done there. So the design elements like I put on either side are just your name and title of the card, as Larry's done. It can be elaborate, it can be simple. I'm going around now looking for some cards that have very fancy borders in the front. Back in the auction the other night, I bought a set of cards that had okay images on them, but the design in the front was great. So I'm just going to scan that design and archive image. Adding a little color to border, that has been done. Again, another APEC number. That works very well in this. So a black border, a black area, and putting your image at the top. What again is Kirby Lee, Canada. Just a little splash of color, a little red sphere, really adds the bright highlight. So here's how we do it. Start with a large piece of 4-ply mat. I cut mine into 8 by 11, and you end up, if you pull this up. You do the first cut 22 inches down from the top, then you get 13 8 by 11 cards, not 8.5 by 11, but 8 by 11 inches, and you're left with this little 7 by 8 inch image, so very little waste. Now, if you're really economic, cheap, you take that 7 by 8, you cut it in half, and you have two 4 by 7s, so you have two more individual cards. So
Those
really,
are for your cabinet cards.
for cabinet cards, so you're really not wasting your card stuff. And you get at 3 of the standard home style, 3.5 by 7, you can get 39 stereo cards out of this. Now, I go down to a fairly well-known graphics store and buy my 4-ply museum quality card. And it's about $10.50 to $11 a sheet. When you get 39 cards, it works out about 33, 35 cents a card. It's very inexpensive to get the highest quality material. That's what you want. If you're doing 8 by 10 board, it works out perfectly. When it's 30 by 40, there really isn't a waste. If you, the 8 by 11, let me go this back. The 8 by 11 I use because I do a 3-up design. You can do a 2-up design of 4-inch by 7-inch card rather than 3.5 by 7 inch. I'll show you in a second. So it depends on what size board that you want to use. The 8 by 10 fits in there perfectly, and you get about 30 stereo cards for each board. Again, it's very inexpensive to get the high quality materials.
Tom goes out and he actually buys board. What I do is, because all the museum and gallery exhibitions that I do, we always have the window cutouts. And so that's all scrap. Most places throw that away. We use every last part of it we can because it still isn't expensive. The other thing you can do is, if you are friends at a framing shop, is go in and get those center window cuts. And usually they're tossing them away, so you can get them for free.
I might add, that's when I go down to my art store, that's what I do. When I'm buying large sheets, I look around and see what's being thrown out. And usually there's 8 by 10, they should have cut out an 8 by 10 frame, and they're more than happy to give those to you. They don't have to throw them out.
Sometimes my cutout's as big as the sheet that he's buying.
There's some privileges with that. So for a 2-up design, it's on an 8.5 by 11 inch paper for 4 by 7 cards, which is what you're going to see here. That actually will sit a little bit smaller. You print it out, and we use 8.5 by 11 because it's standard printing size paper. Here's another example of a 3-up design. And here's what I do for a 3-up design. I actually put the cut marks here, so I know where to cut. I'm pretty bad at cutting things.
I put mine on my front. Okay,
And so then when you laminate the two together, Larry will show you the method with your 4-ply museum quality cardstock in between using archival groove. You know where to cut another front and back of the line. So to sum up what I want to point out, and then we'll get into the demonstration now, is to make your cards look better. You're not going to solve for a little piece, but you're going to have better looking stereo cards, which is the whole point of it. Graphic design elements are found everywhere if you just look. If you're good at design work, start your own unique design. It's not just a design book, cabinet cards, it's out there everywhere. Take the pieces that you want. Feel free to mix and match, and combine them. And be sure you use high quality materials. Not only cardstock, but the glue, and the really So on another method of making high quality images, Steve Hughes has done several workshops in this area of how he does it. There's his webpage with lots of very good links. The Steve's webpage. I mentioned APEC, the Amateur Photographic Exchange Club. Let me do a little ad here. This is a group of modern stereo card manufacturers. We're an international group. We have members in Mexico, Canada, and England, as well as the United States. And 4 times a year, we exchange cards. You get to keep the cards, and unlike folios that transfer around, and you can build up a collection of modern stereo cards very fast. So about 20 people 4 times a year exchange cards, so you're getting 60 cards a year. They range from very professional cards, professional photographers, Larry's in the group, David Lee has been in the group, to people just starting out. We post comments on how to improve your cards as far as alignment, card look, type of glue. And so it's a wonderful organization to really get involved in actively making cards. And 4 times a year you have to make 20 of these, but you want to use the technique that Larry's going to show you. So you can contact me at this email address. We have a Yahoo group webpage that's we'll put you on if you're interested in joining the group to exchange the comments and give you notice about the card thing. So now let me turn it over to Larry to show you how we actually make these cards. It's easier than you would think.
You guys have questions so far, Tom? Anybody?
I have fun with it all.
Wow. You hear me okay? Oh, good. All right. This is, we all have to start somewhere. And so I want to tell you, this is where I started from. Putting 2 chips down on board, and I hand wrote everything. I just drew lines and used a rubber stamp thing to put my information on there. I'm one of those people that, because I do sell my work to make my entire living, you need to be able to let people know who in the heck you are, because it is just a disaster for anybody who's collecting to go out there and realize that you have no idea who made this sucker. So put your information on it. Yeah, put your information on it. Otherwise, it'll appear in Stereo World Magazine. You know who did this. And I even, was so good as to go and try the arch thing. So we had a stainless steel mold made where we put it on top of the cards and you make that arch thing. It's really easy to do that now in Stereo Photomaker, although I don't do it that way. We still do it the old-fashioned way with hand-making prints in darkroom, as well as now we're digitally shooting and compositing everything in Photoshop and then printing them out. So if you want to see some early examples of my cards, these are what those look like. I thought that was like way cool until I was selling these on eBay. And some people named Tom Dory called me up, and another named Ron Lobby called me up and said, God, we just love your stuff, but your mounting's terrible. Yeah, that was the word. Tom offered to offer advice for free. Ron wanted to be paid. Ron's in business, right? So his exchange for giving me valuable information was he wanted to have one of my cards. So we took that into that aspect there. Because my thing about learning was I was self-taught. I didn't know that there were stereo cameras that actually maybe you could buy. I didn't know that anybody was even interested in stereo photography at all in the world whatsoever. I had a big career in exhibiting galleries and museums, but didn't know that people were interested in this as both a hobby thing as well as a professional thing. And so I came to my first NSA meeting where Tom was the chairman down in Mesa, Arizona. What was that, 2000 even? And by golly, David Lee was giving a card making workshop. And it changed my whole life, because here were professionally designed cards that looked good, they were mounted good, and he was teaching how to actually mount, to the window and through the window, and all these sorts of things. Holy moly! And so I had to go out and buy all the equipment. And I tell you, it's not much. That's the simple thing about it, is that with very few handfuls, you can be able to make a professional quality product, and on a volume scale, because I produce thousands of cards a year. So we're doing this actually in a volume sort of production. So, but it's all assembled by hand. As Tom said, take your item, get it all designed, figure out how many you can put on a piece, design your front element in through there, and then I start to print them out and I align them, and I do this, a lot of this. I thought it needs to move an 1/8 of an inch this way, a 1/4 of an inch this way, until they're perfectly lined up. Okay? Then I use a product that some people use. There's 2 different choices of product for a lot of people. One is what's called PMA, Scotch Positionable Mounting Adhesive. It's an absolutely archable product into there, because I'm always interested in making things last. And by archable, I mean 500 plus years without 1% disintegration. Is what we're headed for. Okay. The other way is with what's called a Xeron machine. Is that right, Steve? I think it's called the Xeron machine. Some people put the pieces through there. They put their photos through there too. I prefer this method because it's repositionable. If I screw this up on getting it position, I know I can lift it back up and position it down again. The Xeron machine adhesive, you can't do that. Once it's down forever. So if you misposition it, it's toast.
I've used both, and going back to the PMA, because I can't position it correctly the first time anyway. Put it down with that stuff, and
so I use the PMA to adhere the paper, and again, I'm using 100% rag paper, allyl acid-free paper, and lignin-free paper. Lignin is a terrible product that's out there in a lot of cardboard type products and paper products, so kind of watch out And then we're going to put the adhesive on it. Now that's really easy. Pardon me here as old age creeps up on me. I get my glasses on there. And oh my God, is this difficult. We really just kind of lay that baby down and go, oop. And in production mounting, we just start lining them up. One right next to the other. Fronts. Yes, absolutely.
It's positional mounting until you put pressure on it, and then it becomes permanent.
Now, Tom was telling me he's really successful with their little applicator thing, in which case all you have to do is go back and forth like this.
You have to press down pretty hard.
I can never press down hard.
I never do mine on the front side though. I turn it over
Do it on the back side.
so
Sure,
it's straight.
whatever way you want to. They actually provide a cover sheet. See, I don't do it that way. What I do is we kind of tap it down, and then come across and cut it off,
Literally like that.
literally, just like this. I prefer the simplest tools possible to get the job done. They're also the least expensive because I need to watch the bottom line all the time. And if a little $2 mat knife to do the job, there's no reason to run it out and get a $400 roto trim to do it, because that gives me a lot more money to go out and, you know, booze it up. Cheater. All right. Now, after you get to that point, what I do is we take this and we put it in a book press, 16 by 20 inch one. We also have a 20 by 24 inch one. We're actually exerting about 2,000 pounds of pressure, which really is like overkill, everybody tells me. But we put them in there and we squeeze them down tight, and then we take them out the next day, and they will be perfectly adhered forever. Okay? And that's what gets us over here, that these have been perfectly adhered down.
There's a backing sheet on there to
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah,
Do
okay?
you have a low-cost alternative to a book press for most of them?
What I would do at that point is 2 pieces of like 1/4 inch steel and some weights, just some bricks.
You got
Yeah.
some,
I think
Those,
plastic
works
real well.
Bricks work real well, yeah. Some sheets of plywood, put a brick on top of it, you got it done. It takes, I
you
think,
got some
60
20-pound
pounds.
weights you don't use anymore.
Yeah. And it adheres at 60 pounds of pressure, so it's not very much. But I have the both presses, so that's what we use. Next thing we do is we're going to take our little cutouts. These are still even have the beveled edges on them. There's no reason to trim them down or make them square whatsoever. The pieces can be any size at all. These happen, say for example, this is smaller, my piece is smaller than my paper that I'm printing on. So, and again, there's no reason to do it any other way. And so when you peel this off,
Sorry,
it's okay.
I use 8 by 10 because that's the most economic for the board, but I use 8.5 by 11 paper because the cards are only 7 inches wide, so paper hangs over. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
no big deal, because we're going to cut it down farther. Just peel it apart. The adhesive here now is totally on the paper, and that's the only thing that's on the paper is the adhesive. Okay? And this is just like a very nice silicone release paper that, you know, is filling up our landfill. So then, take a little piece, I adhere it down to one corner and mark it down over to the other side and just gently press on it. Okay?
You use the corner as the red,
I use the corner as the registration point. Yeah, that's all I'm doing through there. Then I take my front piece, like so. Now I've got to make sure that I get them in the right order. So usually that sends me to look at that card. Going, okay, if that's that way, that's that way, that's that way, and if I do this way, then yeah.
That's right.
That goes this way. There you go. And it went over there. Now, in production, of course, you then start to orientate all your materials to that area, and it's just boom, 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 boom. My assistant work on it. We could probably make 100 cards like this in an hour. So we're really moving, you know, once it's all set up. Now, at this point, again, if you're one of those people that like to do this, you just use the release paper, start pressing that baby down, and it's adhered. Okay, that's 60 pounds of pressure. That's a lot of wear and tear on my wrist. And I don't need the carpal tunnel thing going on there, you know, because I don't want to afford to bill. So again, we put them back in the press. We'll take a stack of them, 25 to 50 of them at a time, and put them back in the press and screw it on down with that ton of pressure and open it up the next day. And that's when they look like this. And that's how they come apart, because there's glue being squeezed out. That's the problem, is that you don't want to have things that are precisely trimmed to the edges, because the glue oozes. Okay? And that's going to be a huge problem in your production. So the cuts here that I have, the cut lines, Tom, I know, put his in Photoshop, because I'm doing a two up and it's centered on the paper. It's just that simple command of, hey, do corner marks and center cut marks on your cut program. Then I take the X-Acto knife once again, and my little magic stainless steel ruler, and I make the cuts. I'm doing them lightly. What I want to do is give myself a cracking line as I do that, so I'm not intending to cut through the board all in one whack. You should never try to do that, because you'll rip the cotton fibers instead of cutting them. So I've made the 3 marks in through that way. Now I'll come across, cut the top and bottom marks.
My comment, buy new razor blades every time. They are so cheap.
Yeah.
And they get dull, you can tear. So just go out and buy a pack of 100 new blades. Only a couple bucks.
Could you use a mat cutter for that?
You can do that. I would only recommend a rotor trim cut cutter to do that, because it makes a very precise cut, but also as you get thicker and thicker and thicker with the adhesives and so forth, it really gets tough on the machine. Steve was talking about that his blade is doing okay, but the stop points in both directions are coming unglued and unscrewed because of the immense pressure that it takes to do that. This takes almost no pressure, and you save yourself that $400 on that rotor trim machine.
A lot harder than you
Oh, okay. And if you like those nice round corners, you just stick in your lasso little corner round.
These are selling on eBay new for 70, 80, 120 bucks. Used, they're a little cheaper than that. They work much better than anything else we've ever found.
Yep.
Now you have work.
That's it.
Where you get your
That's a Lasco corner rounder. LASCO. They also make a floor stand model, which is driven pneumatically, so all you got to do is stomp on it, and it cuts 20 of them at a time.
Larry,
Yes.
how much dye to buy with this?
I think this is the quarter-inch die. It does come in a wide variety of dies, even with squiggly edges and so forth like that too. So if you go over to the Lasco website, you'll see that there's a lot of sizes, a lot of sizes of
You
dies.
just buy whatever size you want down in here.
Yeah. Okay.
The cover costs about the same as the
After
rest
the
of
whole
Yeah,
machine?
that's,
Yeah.
that is about the same.
So make sure if you're pricing it, you know if you're pricing it with the cutting unit or without.
Yeah.
They come in an
Set the right
1/8 inch,
size.
quarter inch, 5/8.
Yeah, so if you ever go to like a bookbinding shop, most bookbinding shops or small letter presses will also have Lasco corner rounders, because we use a lot of round the edges of book pages and book.
So if you go to real cheap hobby shop and buy those hand ones, you will get carpal tunnel. They don't cut very well. You need something like that.
Yeah, this machine is invaluable to make that job very, very easy. And again, you can stack them up, okay? Next thing is then getting it down onto your actual cardstock, taking that image chip in through there and getting it down onto there. It works the same whether you're using 2 chips or using what I call a dual image single chip, okay? And I have a very simple jig. Over on Steve Hughes' website, there's going to be some very nice, fancy machine. Steve loves high-quality tools, and so do I. But that's an industrial sort of thing there. I use a piece of mat board, or I guess it's open board, and I very carefully have used a straight or a 90-degree. What do you call it? Square. There you go.
Sorry now.
To be able to position myself, what I have here is another piece of 4-ply board, which has been put on top, so it's the same thickness of the card that I'm going to slide into place there. Then on top of that, I have a very thin piece of like 2-ply board, or in this case, it's part of an old photograph there, that simply fits up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my card onto that piece. Okay? Very simply done. So I'm going to line that up, make sure I got this going the right way. I get my card. Sure, that's where I want it to be. I usually kind of just visually align it so that it's even all the way around, make sure everything is the way I need it. Then I use a little different. I think you're still using the Xeron or PMA.
Cards are the PMA.
Yeah, I know you're using the Xeron machine. I go back to using a product that we investigated actually for the Nebraska State Historical Society, which is also, we then got it certified by the Library of Congress, which is called PRIT, double stick adhesive tape. It's made by the Gillette Company in Germany, okay? And it is an adhesive transfer tape, so it works basically the same sort of way as the PMA material. It's virtually identical in its compositional makeup into here, and it's relatively inexpensive to use. The thing that I have found is that in order to use it, you don't want to have anything that has texture underneath it because that texture will transfer to the front face of the image. And so I use a piece of shined up marble, and we take that little baby and we just adhere it at the edges. Okay, come on. They also make a temporary one, which is a yellow dispenser and a yellow cartridge. And I just draw an X through the back. Put it into my little jig. And there it goes. Now, it is still repositionable. If I don't like where it's at on that mount, I can insert a razor blade or my mat knife underneath there and just pull it all right back up very, very simply and easily. Once I like it that way, we clean the face of the photograph with acetone in order to remove any residual fingerprint oil or any errant adhesive that might be on there. And then, again, we stack them up between, and I didn't bring this because it's very heavy, we stack them all up, so sometimes we'll have 50, 60 of them in a stack. We put another piece of marble on top of it, and then we put weights on top of that. I use professional scale weights, you know, the type that you go into if you're a trucker and they're weighing you on the scale, they take a 20-pound weight out and see where the scale weight breaks. Those are what I have, and I stack them up. Bricks would work the same way. Again, you need 60 pounds of pressure to provide that permanent adhesion, getting there overnight. So the whole production time from when we start with cards to where we actually have a finished product is about 3 days. But we'll make approximately 100 plus cards during that 3-day time. Now, that's the whole story of it. And after that, we take and we, I'll sign my name and we'll put in titles. A lot of times titles are also put in at the time when we're making the backs, especially if we're producing a set of images like for 8-pack or something. We need 25 or 30 or 50 or 100 of the card. We're going to type that all in, and then we just hand letter the signature. And then we put them in triacetate sleeves. Now, we use the hard plastic triacetate sleeves. I personally don't like the little flexible ones. They create too many rippling effects there because most people will take these and they will just simply put it in this way into their viewer to have that experience so that, again, they don't fingerprint the cards. Questions we have? Yes.
Are you aware with the various mat boards and papers about the grain direction of the paper of the mat board and how that
Never concerned. Nope, never had any problem whatsoever. After 10 plus years of card production, I've never had a single card ever curl. I wish I knew how to make them curl, but I have never had a single card destruct in any way. Yeah. Yes?
Where do you get your plastic sleeves?
At the trade show.
Yeah, right here at the trade show. You're going to
There's a
find
couple
it
of them.
tomorrow at the trade fairs. Russ Norton sells them, and
Carl
Long sells them also. So, and that's where I buy them from, because they have them scaled exactly the size that you need.
Package of 100 for $9, $10.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Service.
Just pay attention to the size, because historical cards typically are 3.5 by 7. There are other historical cards that are 4 by 7. There's actually also a 5 by 7 card. So mine are in the 4 by 7 format. I'm currently thinking about going to a 5 by 7 format also, which is, I think is called the Imperial card. Yeah. What's next?
Are you using a PMA for the back of the photo? Or?
No, I don't. I find it just takes me too much longer time. I find that this print system here is much faster for me to use.
Is that stuff thin enough that you don't see the,
You never see
You
it.
never see
What
it.
happens is that under pressure, it's actually a thick layer of adhesive, but then under the pressure, the adhesive squeezes out and becomes a very thin layer. You'll never know that the layer is there at all.
do you have to get that mail order, or could you get it at a
No, you can
decent
get
market
it
place?
at supply companies, office supply companies, or
Oh.
themselves.
I used to use that, I found it a little more expensive than the PMA, so I've gone back and forth. They both work great.
Using that product, are you taping right on the edge of the photo, or are you?
Right close to it. I try to stay about a 1/16 of an inch away. I find that it doesn't spread more than a 1/16 of an inch.
We'll squeeze in.
Yes.
Any recommendations on a printer or printer inks, or is there any?
Holy moly, there's the $1 million question.
Well, we only have 8 minutes left.
That is actually one of the things that we were talking about, debating the virtues of during the APEC meeting there yesterday. There's lots of different thoughts about that. One needs to use a higher, if you're going to make your own and print your own at home on a pigment type or an inkjet type printer, you need to get a really good printer. Because what happens under the magnification is that if you have a low-cost printer, you are going to see all pixelation of the dots and all the imperfections of laying down that ink. So I don't do that myself. As I've tried that, the other problem I get with that is we don't have enough depth to the image, like the traditional print might have. Mine are most of my black and white images, for example, we have 2 different types. Some of them are going to be printed by hand in the darkroom, in the wet process darkroom. Others now, what we're doing is that we are making a master 8 by 8 inch print. We then scan that, align those all in Photoshop, and we print them out as Fuji Crystal Archive prints. And my favorite place to get these done is my very well trusted Walgreens. And at 19 cents a piece, I can print them out cheaper than I can using a pigment printer for higher quality.
Walgreens is good because they have a glossy paper. If you go to a place like Costco or Sam's Club, all they have is a normal matte paper that looks pretty bad in the viewer. So
Yeah,
glossy.
glossy papers give better sharpness, better depth to the color. Yes.
And the permanence of the Walgreens
Fuji Crystal Archive prints are rated at approximately between 100 and 200 years lifespan, about 1% disintegration.
So it's not an inkjet process. It's really a laser process on photographic paper. Long lasting.
Not all Walgreens are created equal. I've
Oh,
tried
no,
to.
true.
And neither are
Three
Costco,
different
my
ones in my
Costco.
area.
So we only have 8 minutes. It's a long, good discussion.
Yeah, this is a fabulous discussion. We would like to actually refer you to Steve Hughes's website right up here, because there's going to be a link to another site, and it's called
Factory Photo. If you want to get a lot of information about different printers, go to search for drycreekphoto.com. So you on that website too.
Drycreekphoto.com.
Drycreekphoto.com. What they do is they give you the printing profile of every printing machine that's a Maritsu or Fuji Frontier printer in the world.
Pretty much.
And so you can go there and see what printer is printing what way. For example, there are like 12 different Walgreens in Omaha, Nebraska, I'm based out of. It just so happens that the one that's 6 blocks away from me has the best quality in the world. And once I profile my monitor will match exactly what their printer is capable of printing each and every time, because they are sticklers for control there. And to be able to check their quality control, what we always do is we have a digital file of a Macbeth gray tag color checker, and we include that every time that we send a print order over there, and we do it all via email on the web upload. And so they're checking their machine based upon the gray tag calibration that I'm sending. So, yes.
I ended up investing in an Epson R1800 printer for the reason, actually 3 reasons. It does 13 by 19 prints. It offers, wonderful quality, but the most important thing is, well, 2 things actually. It uses pigment-based inks, and so they don't fade. They have like a 100-year life or something. But even more importantly, when you're looking for a printer, look at the droplet size. I think this one's rated at like 2.5 picoliters, and a lot of them are in the 1 to 1.5, and you'll actually see the ink dots under magnification. So it's like you get something as high as you can, in the 2 to 2.5, or now they probably even better.
But you still will not want to put that in Duke's viewer, because it's going to show up right in there. Unlike a Fuji Crystal Archive, which will still be dotless and seamless all the way across, no matter what magnification.
Yeah. Inks for the 1800.
Oh, yeah, a little more expensive. But I still found it easier than going to all the local labs and having them run tests for me, and they're different every day.
Well, that's why it's drycreekphoto.com that already has the printer profile.
Right.
And then you put that profile into, say, Photoshop,
Yeah.
it comes out.
Right.
Yeah. See?
One comment.
Yes.
Spend a lot of time designing a nice bag. Print it on a good printer so that it doesn't fade, and don't print it on a laser printer so it doesn't stick to the
Right.
toner transfer.
This is actually where we use, I have an Epson 2200, Epson 2400 volt, and that's how these backs are being printed. It's with the RPM. What's next? Yes, ma'am.
Can you mean also if it's a photographic paper with the S-tone?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, both black and white and color.
What about the pigment prints?
I don't know. We've not done that on pigment prints to try and clean them with the acetone.
I've tried along the edges very carefully, and if you don't press down on it, like take a Q-tip with a drop of acetone on it, I really don't see anything, but you test on it.
Yeah. Who's got the next question?
Real quickly, when you applied the print to the back of the photos, did you only do the edges, or did
Yes.
you go ahead and?
No, I also
Do
do
an
an
X
X through the
Okay,
logo.
all right. I was
Yeah,
wondering.
yeah. That way it's adhered all the way across.
Right.
Yeah. What's next? Now, anybody then who, because we're here, right? Anybody who'd like to see this closer up, please come on down. I'll go through this.